Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make my Tiny Tot Minecraft Steve. So this is him here. Now, there have been a couple of test runs as I was making him. My first one actually working as on the actual Tiny Tot design. They have a round head. So the first one ended up with a very rounded head like this. And Izzy said, no, Mummy, absolutely we cannot have Minecraft Steve with a round head. So then I came up with a squared idea, like my other Minecraft figures that I did, where you're using the paper towel, the bounty tube, or a toilet roll holder, whatever. And so what we're going to do, this one has the cardboard in it to actually help give it a squarish shape. And all I'm using is the insert of a kitchen paper bounty, and you cut it down to size. Okay, so this one has it, and as you can see, he's got a squarer head. This one is the same, but is without the cardboard, keeping his face in a squared shape. He's still got the same top on his head, but without the cardboard keeping him in, he is less squared. So I will show you how to do both styles head. Now I am actually going to be doing the mouth this way. It's not actually a mouth, it's supposed to be a goatee beard, so I'm going to do it this way. I tried a couple of ways. I tried doing it the integral way of actually having it loomed in, and I don't like how that looks. It looks like a smile to me. So this is the way that we will be doing it. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing today. Now, there's a variety of different colours that you're going to be using. I'm starting using the Rainbow Loom Cocoa colour for the hair. I'm then using Rainbow Loom Skin Tone for his face. I've got 2 blue bands here, one either side, 2 white bands. So you only need 2 white bands in the whole thing. Now, I've tried to go with a different coloured tan colour for his nose than what I'm using for his skin, because it is actually a different colour and it sticks out differently. So I've got a tannish colour. It's a darker tan than what I'm using for his face and hands. Caramel, I'm sorry, not caramel, the cocoa again for his beard. I'm using the Rainbow Loom Turquoise for his shirt, Rainbow Loom Ocean Blue for his pants, and then the Rainbow Loom Darker Grey for his little shoes or boots or what have you. Okay, you are going to need stitch markers. If you don't have these commercial stitch markers, you can use a bobby pin, a safety pin, a paper clip, S-clip, C-clip, whatever you happen to have lying around. I like to use a 2.75mm hook. I find that's the right size so that I'm not stretching my bands. Stretching your bands is really bad. It does give you these great big gaps in your bands, and that is not a good look. So you will need quite a few different colours. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not really great at doing the whole band count thing. I tend to make sure that I have a complete bag of each colour that I'm going to use. So I've just emptied a bag of cocoa in here. I have an entire bag of cocoa, an entire bag of skin tone, an entire bag of turquoise. I know I'm not going to use that many. The whole thing takes about 720 bands, and when you're breaking that into colours, then you know that you're not even going to be using that many. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so let's get started, and we're going to do a magic ring. Taking a single band, you're going to wrap it around your hook once and twice. Now, we are doing a magic ring of 8, not 6, which is normal. So let's get our bands ready. That's 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Slide your end cap over onto that first band and reclaim. Now, I like to use a stitch marker just to show you exactly what I'm doing very clearly, as you can see. And let's make sure we're in focus. There's nothing worse than doing a whole video and being out of focus. So there's my little end cap. Okay, you're going to pinch that with your fingers or use a stitch marker to keep that separate. And you're going to just, using your first band, go over like that and do a little slip knot. You're going to go back through your end cap. Now, you can use a peg of your loom to do this. You can use your Loomy Loom. It really doesn't matter. Or if you're used to it, you just use your hook. You don't even need to use a stitch marker. I like to use a stitch marker just so I can show you that I'm going through that end cap each time. Okay, so like that, and then you get to a stage where the end cap is not actually needed because you've got enough to hold onto here. End cap's not needed, the stitch marker's not needed. I'm talking gibberish to you. It's first thing in the morning, I've only had one coffee. My brain should engage soon. So here we go, 8 stitches around in our magic ring. It's a bit squeezy, I know. Alright, spread them out so that they're evenly spaced. Okay, like so. Now we're doing an increase in each of these stitches, so we're going to go from 8 stitches around to 16 stitches. So that means we need 16 bands. So if you want to count them out so that you know you're doing it right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So going through the first stitch here, alright, with your first band, and then you need to put your stitch marker on that first band. I always put my stitch marker on the first stitch. Some people put it on the last stitch. It doesn't really matter. There is no right or wrong. I just prefer mine on the first. Going through that first stitch again, you're going to do your second single crochet, and that means that it's an increase. You've made that a bigger stitch. Let's do that all the way around. You can hear little paws galloping around the house. They're very naughty in the morning, these kittens. Please remember, if I go too fast for you, pause me. I tell you what to do at the beginning of every single round, so you don't have to worry. You can pause me, do your round, and then start me again. My husband wishes he has the ability to pause me. Mute me. There we go. So we have 16 stitches all the way around now. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different. What we're going to do, we're going to count 4, okay? 4 stitches. And I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that we're in focus. Here's our first stitch. So our first stitch, go through with a single crochet, move your stitch marker. That's number 1. Oops, here we go. Our second stitch. Our third stitch. Now in our 4th stitch, we're going to do 3 single crochets. In that one stitch is 3 single crochets, okay? So here's our first one, back into that stitch. Second one, back into that stitch again. Here's our third one. And this is how we make corners. Now we're going to count 4 again. 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th stitch, which is actually the 8th stitch, but I'm counting in 4s, we're going to do 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Again, we're going to count 4 more stitches. So there's the next one here. 1, 2, 3, and here's our 4th stitch. We're going to do 3 in here. 1, back in, 2, back in again, 3. Now we're going to count 4. 1, 2, 3, and our last stitch is our 4th. Here we go. We're going to do 3 in that too. 1, 2, and our last 3. See how that sort of gives it a little square shape rather than circular. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, a little square shape for the top of his head. Now what we're going to do is on the inside loop only, okay, which is this one here closest to us, we're going to do a single crochet all the way around. Alright, so single crochet in the inside loop only. Move your stitch marker onto that first stitch. And we have 20 stitches in total for our head now. So around we go, single crochet. Make sure you get every single one. And you're only going through that first loop, the loop that's closest to you, the inside loop. It's changing the shape of the head so that the head will start coming down rather than out. See, come on you little band. Oh, this one's being silly. There we go. You have to excuse my nail polish. I got Izzied again. We got a new nail polish for her that changes colour in the sun. And it's sort of this baby pink colour, not my colour at all. And yes, I got attacked by the nail varnish fairy so that we could be twinsies. Around we go, and if you want to count your stitches, you should have 20 because we haven't done any increases or decreases in this round. There we go, our last stitch, and then I'll show you what we look like. So see how that's come down at an angle now, okay, like so. All right, so this is our first stitch. We have 24 stitches around this little square that we've made. Okay, so what we're going to do is only have 24. We're not going to expand or decrease. Okay, so our first 2 stitches for our round 1. Now we're going to do 8 rounds. Round 1, we're starting off with 2 brown stitches. So do your first single crochet and move your stitch marker to that. And then do your second brown single crochet. Then in this little bit, which is the corner, okay, we're going to change to skin tone, and we're doing 2, 4, 6, 7 skin tone. And the first one goes through. You're doing a slip stitch to add your loop to it because we're color changing. So that's our first one, okay. Into our second stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is round 1. You've got 2 brown, 7 skin tone, and then the rest, as I said, we're doing 24 per round. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in brown. So again, slip stitch to change colour, and around we go. Make sure you go through both loops. So this is our first round coming down the head. and we needed 8 in total, so this is 1 of 8. Okay, there's our last stitch in brown. Okay, so you can pretty it up, make sure that your corners are looking good. So our next round, this is our first stitch here that we're going to have. Again, we're going to do 2 in brown, and then we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 in skin tone, and the rest in brown. Until we get to the end. Again, it's going to be 24. So your first stitch is brown. Move your stitch marker to that. Second stitch is brown. And now we do a colour change. So skip your slip stitch here, go into your real stitch, and we're using skin tone, so colour change. And then that was number 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now you can see that we still have a skin tone on the previous round. Don't worry about that. Just like we started off here, we went through our first one with a brown, we're going through our last one with a brown here. Alright, so change slip stitch to change colour, miss your slip stitch here into your real stitch, and we're doing brown until we get to the end of our round. Again, you should still have 24 stitches. This is our second round of coming down the head. Here's our last stitch. Like so. Let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and here's 24 on my hook. Alright, our next round, okay, we're going to do a single one in brown. We're then going to do a single in skin tone. We're going to add an eye. We're going to add a skin tone for the nose. We're going to add another eye. I'm getting out of camera range. Let me do that here. So we start with a brown, a skin tone, an eye, a nose, another eye, and a skin tone. Then we're going to do 2 brown, 2 skin tone, and then we're going to do, and I'll count these for you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in brown, 2 in skin tone, and 1 in brown. So this is round 3 of coming down our head. We're doing the eyes here. Now you can see how I've done these eyes like this. I'm going to show you how to make those. So let me show you quickly how to make those. You can get them ready. You're going to take a single white band, wrap it once, twice and 3 times, and a single blue and wrap it once, twice, 3 times. Now you're going to do this twice. Okay, then you need 3 skin tone bands. You're going to take the first skin tone, stretch it into a figure 8 loop it on itself, and you slide these on, okay, like so. Reclaim the end of your capped band. Then with one skin tone, you're going to slide it through this end like so, and then with the other skin tone, you're going to slide it like that. Now, we do this for the eyes and for the nose. The eyes, we use one white, one blue. For the nose, we use 2 tan, okay? So make sure that you've got your eyes and your nose ready, all right? Because we're going to be using those. So there's another eye. All right, so back to what we were doing. Round 3 of coming down of the face. This is the top part of his head. This is coming down his face. So our first band is going to be a brown band. Move your stitch marker to it. Our next is this brown band here, and we're changing to skin tone. So we have to do a slip stitch to do the colour change. Okay. Now if you look here, we've got our slip stitch. We're skipping that and going into this stitch. And what we're going to do is our eye. And our eye is going to take 2 stitches. Okay. So with the white part closest to the right hand side, pull that one side of the band through, reclaim the other side of that loop, and then do a single crochet like normal. Just like that. And then in the next stitch, you're going to do the other side, the blue side. So again, pop one side through, pull it through, and do your single crochet like so. Okay, the middle stitch here is going to be a single crochet in skin tone, and then you do your other eye. This time you have the blue to the right so that it is going to be closest to the nose. One over the other, and then go to the next stitch, grab the other side, and one over the other. So that's how we add the eyes. Your next stitch is going to be skin tone, single crochet. Oops, come back here. There we go. Like so. Okay. Miss your slip stitch. Go into the brown. We're doing 2 stitches in brown. The first one is a colour change, and the second one is just a single crochet. These are to do the sideburns. Our next stitch is going to be skin tone. So colour change it, do a slip stitch and a single crochet. And then we go to our browns. And again, it's a colour change. If you remember, I said we had 1, 2, 4, 6, 9 browns. So colour change first, and then do your other 8. So that was 1. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And here's our 9th stitch because I counted the first one already. And there's our 9th. Now we're colour changing to skin tone for the other side of the ears. So pull a skin tone through, slip stitch for colour change, and in the next one it's skin tone again for his ear, and we have to colour change in our last stitch to go back to brown. Alright, so that's our last stitch for round 3 of his head coming down. Alright, so you've got 1, 2, 3. Our next round is going to be a brown. Starts off with a brown, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in skin tone, 2 in brown, 2 in skin tone, and then we have a lot of brown here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in brown. Okay, so I'll put those here. 3 skin tone, and a brown. So let's see how we go. Brown. Move your stitch marker This is round 4 coming down. So now we have our slip stitch here. We have to miss that and go into the real stitch. Okay, so we do a slip stitch to change colour. And then in our skin tones, we're doing our skin tone, just single crochet, 1, okay. Now this one is going to be brown, so colour change, miss your slip stitch, go into your real stitch, brown, colour change back to skin tone for the ears, so slip stitch, miss your slip stitch, go into your next stitch, like so. Again, we're going to go into brown, so we have to colour change, do a slip stitch, miss your slip stitch here, real stitch here, and we're doing, that's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Miss your slip stitch, go into your real stitch. We're colour changing to skin tone. And in the next stitch, like so. Okay, now as you can see, we've got these 2 here and a slip stitch, and we've got 1 and 2 here. So we need, I told you a lie, we don't need that one yet. We need to go into a brown to colour change, and then the next one will be a skin tone. Our first stitch will be a skin tone, so that's a brown that goes here. Okay, we had 1 too many bands. Okay, so our next round, we start, we add the nose into the next round, which will be round 5 of our moving down of the face. So our first stitch is going to be skin tone. Oh, we have to do a slip stitch because we're colour changing. So there we go, add the loop, like so, move your stitch marker, and miss your slip stitch, we're going into our real stitch. We're going to do our first one, and then in this second stitch we're going to do our nose, and our nose is going to go across these 2. Okay, so hopefully you've prepared your nose. Drag your first band through, reclaim the other end, and slip stitch. In the centre here, you're going to do a regular stitch, slip stitch, and then in the stitch next to it, you grab the other side of the nose bands, and we do our single crochet using those. So that's how we've got the nose. Now we're going to do skin tone, skin tone. If you have a look here, we've got this tiny little gap here, but we're starting a new round. So what we're going to do is miss that slip stitch and go into the next stitch. And even though it's brown, we're going to do skin tone. Miss your slip stitch, go into your real stitch. And we're going to do skin tone in this one as well, like so. And then miss your slip stitch, we're going into our real stitch. We're doing brown, colour change. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, oops, if we have a look here, you can see that we came across one. So what we're going to do, if we come in here, we're going to change to skin tone, add our loop for a colour change and pull it across. And then we're going to do skin tone. Hey, get out of the way. Skin tone and skin tone. Miss your slip stitch, go into a real stitch and skin tone, and that's our last stitch this side. Okay, so we should still have 24 stitches. Let's have a count, shall we? 1 is on our stitch marker. Oh, we've got, I'm sorry, oh, that's a slip stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a slip stitch. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, slip stitch, 21, 22, 23, and 24 is on my hook. Alright, so the 5th round, 5 rounds? 6 rounds, I think 6 now. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, we're on 6. We're going to start with skin tone in our first stitch. I'm going to move my stitch marker. That's a lot easier now. You're not having to, alternate, skin and hair too much now. It's a little easier, a little bit more easy to control. Let's do another skin tone. So that's our second. If you have a look, okay, our first one is on our hook. There's our second skin tone. Here's our third skin tone, 4th skin tone, 5th skin tone, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. This will pull across, so I'm going to go in here with a brown and do a colour change, miss my slip stitch and go in and go around using brown for the back of the head. Now this one will pull across to here, so I'm going to go into this last brown with a skin tone, okay, and colour change, pull it across, miss my slip stitch and come into the skin tone. Now the goatee we're going to do after the fact. So this is my last stitch for that round, okay? See how it is a sort of the shape of his hair going around. Okay, so I have 2 more rounds to do, don't I? Okay, 2 more rounds. So into my first stitch with a skin tone, move my stitch marker. Again, I'm going to go across to the ear in skin tone. My bands are getting harder to use. I lubricated them before, but they do absorb the lubricant, so sometimes they get a little tricky to use and you need to re-lubricate them. Now again, this loop will hook across and come over, so I'm going to go into this last one with a brown and colour change, miss my slip stitch, and I'm going to do brown until I get to the end of the back of the head. Hey, come here. If you remember what I say, this pulls forward to that. Now it depends how you're wanting. We're angling into the side here. We want that to happen this way as well. So go into that last brown and we'll try and angle it in a bit. So I'm going now, missing the slip stitch, going into the skin tone, do my colour change, and I'll try and bring that in a little bit now. Okay. We could have possibly done that last one as a brown. I don't think it will really matter. Skin tone until we get to our stitch marker. Now, if you have a look, we've come down, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're doing one more round of the head before we start decreasing. So we're on the front of the face, so we're using skin tone. Oops, lock in. This one is going to pull forward, so we're going to change to brown, miss a slip stitch, we're doing brown until we get to the back of the head, or the end of the back of the head I should say. Now, again, if we put a brown, this brown is going to come through to here. Okay, so we'll go through with brown. Whoops, come here. And then this brown will come through to here. So go into the, miss your slip stitch, go into your skin tone. Okay, like this, which is the same as on the opposite side. And we're going to do skin tone until we get to our stitch marker. And this is my last stitch. Like so, I'm just going to pop this on my stitch marker just so that we can straighten out our little head. Okay, so this is how he's looking so far. Okay. Now, you might like to put some cardboard in to straighten his head. If you do, it's probably a good time as any to sort of stuff this in. Use a pencil to gently work out where you want to cut. So you might want to cut about here. You don't need very much, okay? And cut your cardboard. So what I like to do is, using the back of my hook, I just push down. I fold it in half and I push down one way, and then I marry those two up so that they're even. Push down and scour the other sides as well, like that. I didn't do that very well, but never mind. It's not terribly even, is it? Let's see if I can even it up a little bit. There we go. And so you see, this will sit in the head and give it a bit of a shape, or give it a bit of help to keep the shape, I should say. It doesn't really give it the shape, it helps you keep the shape. Okay, so this is how you get a slightly squarer head, if that's what you're looking for. If you're not looking for that, if you want to do the head without the cardboard, it works just as well. It's just more squishy and you don't have the cardboard giving it the shape. Okay, so it doesn't matter. I will do it. If you want to have it with the cardboard, it's probably about now that you would put the cardboard in, or at least the next round, but that's how you would do it. Okay, I'm going to take mine out for the minute. If you don't want it, you don't need it. Okay, so let's see, what are we doing next? So our next round is going to be a little bit different. Let's get my stitch back on my hook. We're going to be working on this front loop only. Normally we go through both loops. We're going to be working just on this front loop, okay? So we're going to do 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. Here's number 1. Move your stitch marker to that stitch. Number 2. Number 3. Now we're going to do a decrease next, but we're not going to do a decrease on the outside loops like we normally do. We're working on the inside loops, and we're also going to be doing 3 loops, not 2 loops, because if you remember when we made our square, we had 3 single crochets in the one stitch to make our square. So we're going through the first loop, the front loop of the second loop, and the front loop of the third loop. So we've got 3 little loops here. Taking a single band, draw it through all 3, and then do your single crochet as normal. Okay, and then we go into the front loop and do a single crochet in skin, through the front loop and do a single crochet, and again it's in skin. Okay, actually we could do that one in brown. Let's do that one in brown. I think it will look better. So I'll do this one in brown, and it's a slip stitch because you've changed colour. Miss that slip stitch and go into here, and now again we have to do a decrease, so 1, 2 and 3. Draw those 3 together with a single band and join them, and then we're doing 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2 and 3. Again a decrease, so 1, 2, 3, join them all together. Now we're working in this brown one. We're going to work in a skin tone. We're going to add that in as a slip stitch to pull across. Miss that slip stitch. We're working in this one next. 2, move that out the way. Here's our third single crochet, and then we've got 3 last stitches here, 1, 2 and 3, and draw those together like so. Now let's count. You can also see how it's sort of gone in. Let's count how many stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16 is on my hook. I've made sure that I have not counted my slip stitches as my stitches. So we have 16 stitches all the way around. Our next round is going to be all skin tone, and we're going to be doing, starting with a single crochet, we're going through both loops. Okay, so a single crochet and move your stitch marker. That was number 1. Single crochet. And number 3 is going to be a decrease, and you can do the decrease just in the 2 back loops this time. And then we do 1, hey, come back here, 1, miss your slip stitch, 2, and a decrease, 3, 1, 2, and a decrease. Make sure you miss your slip stitch. That's the slip stitch there because of the colour change. 1, oops, 2, and our final one is a decrease. You should now have 12 stitches. Okay, 12 stitches all around. I'm going to pop this on here just for a second, because if you want to add your cardboard, this probably is a good time to do it about now. If you don't, it will be slightly puffier, but that's completely up to you. As I said, it doesn't matter whether you do or not. If you want to give it a bit more extra shape, then now is the time. Try and get it so that the corners that you've created by folding it are in the corner, and that the eyes sort of line up in the middle. You don't want, see how this eye is too far over here. You want this to be wiggled across a bit so that it looks a little nicer. So I still feel that that is too far over. Let's wiggle him over a bit. That's a bit better. Make sure my cardboard is pushed in. I want to make sure that I can see where my stitches are nice and clear. So that's how I'm going to do his head. Now, separate video on how to do the arms, okay, and I will link that. You'll find there's a little eye up here. If you click on that, it will take you to where we do the arms. You're going to do a magic ring in skin tone with 8 stitches in it. Then you're going to do 4 stitches in skin tone, and you will do 4 stitches, or 4 rounds, not 4 stitches, 4 rounds in skin tone and 4 rounds in turquoise, and you will do 3 tie-off bands, okay, in turquoise. So you've got 4 rounds. You've got your magic ring here of 8. You've got 4 rounds in skin tone, 4 rounds in turquoise, and your tie-off bands are in turquoise. That's important, so please make sure you do that. Pause the video, get that done. You'll need 2 of them. Okay, so I've got 2 ready here, and now we are going to get on with his t-shirt. And this, from this point on, it is more or less exactly how we used to do the other tiny tots. We're doing the body in the same fashion. We're not going to be doing a square body. It's going to be a tiny tot body. So after we've done our neck, we're going to do a single crochet in the back post. So this will be our first stitch. We're going to go back through and poke out, and this is our little post here that we're going to be working on. Okay, so let's take a band and drag it through, and you're basically doing a single crochet like so in that back post. And let's go all the way around doing that. It sort of, I feel, reinforces the neck just a little bit. Now, if you are working with cardboard in your face, you do need it in at this stage. And you might find that it collapses in on itself a little bit. It will do that until you stuff it. I'm not ready to stuff yet until I put my arms on, really. I like to have a couple of rounds done before I do the stuffing. Come back here. There we go. It is trickier doing it when you have cardboard in it. Now you have 12 stitches to do the back post, so you want to make sure you are only using 12 bands to do this. If you want to have counted them out first, that's always a good idea. Count our stitches. It's got our stitch marker on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 is on my hook. I'm now going to change to turquoise to do his t-shirt. Okay. Now, if you want to do the little V, you can actually just, well, I said we'll change to turquoise, but if you want to do the little V, you can actually wait for a second and just do the first couple of stitches in skin tone. So we'll do that. We'll do our first stitch in skin tone and move your stitch marker. And then the next stitch we're going to do skin tone, like so, but we're going to change now and do the second stitch in turquoise. So you have to do a slip stitch for your change of colour, like that. Okay, the next stitch is a single, the next stitch is an increase. Single and an increase. Single, oopsie, and an increase. Single and an increase. Let's spread these out just a bit so that we can see where we're at. Okay, so I'm going to do a single in skin tone, so colour change, pull it over, and then I'm going to do an increase in skin tone. And let's hope that that looks right. I might have to do that first single as a turquoise, we'll see. Nope, I think that's perfect. Alright, so I finished on an increase of skin tone. Now we have 4 rounds to do that are going to be turquoise. Okay, 4 rounds in turquoise, just a single crochet. So go through your first stitch, take one of from your little counter pile here, pull it through. Oh, colour change, so let's do a slip stitch. Hey, come back here, no running away. Move your stitch marker to that little band there, and around we go. Now that's our next stitch here. The turquoise is the slip stitch, so this is a real stitch. We need to go through that one. Okay, and then miss the slip stitch and into the real stitch. Leave your slip stitch. And just stretch these out so that they're evenly spaced. So we have 18 stitches around. If you want to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 is on my hook. We're going to do 3 more rounds of single crochet in turquoise, okay? And I'm just going to pop my stitch marker on here for 1 second, and we will catch back up when we have all done 3 more rounds of single crochet in turquoise. Then we're going to add the arms and stuff the head. Alright, so I'll catch you back when we've all done that. So I have done my 4 rounds, okay, of turquoise. I've also added 1 arm, and we're going to add the other arm together. You'll add both arms, otherwise you'll have 1-armed Steve instead. So take your little anchor bands off whatever you're using to hold them. You don't have to have a stitch marker to hold them. It could be on another hook or anything really. Line up where you want them. I'm sort of going just here, so I'm going sort of 1, 2, 3, and you poke your hook through from the inside to the outside. Drag your first one back, keep it on your hook and go up through the next hole. Drag it back, go up through the next hole, and drag it back. Now let's see, have I got that? That's, as you can see, that's wrong. I need to go back a space. So let's go back 1 space. And the nice thing about this is you can just, it's trial and error. See how you do and see if you've got it lined up correctly. If you haven't, undo it and try again. I think that's better. Flip this over. You've got 3 little loops on your hook. Take the 3rd one off and go one over the other for 1 and 2. Add 3 back on, one over the other for 2 and 3. Find a little spot at the back here with a couple of the little loops of the band. I'm going through turquoise, and use a tie-off band to join them all together and secure them, and hit the camera. We'll try not to hit the camera. Okay, so these are his little arms. Make sure, if you've used cardboard, make sure that you have his face lined up. Okay, we're now going to stuff. I'm using the polyfill stuffing, and grab some. Try and remember, less is best. You don't want to overstuff. If you overstuff, you see the bands pulling apart from each other, and then you get to see all the stuffing on the inside and it poking through. It looks nasty. Okay, so stuff that in. So that is his little head. Okay, and I've actually changed a little bit from when I did this first one here. I didn't do the inside loop, and I have on this, and I think it looks much better. I think it looks much more squarish, so I like that a little better than the other one. I'm not going to stuff his body yet because I hate getting stuffing on my hook as I'm going through, so I'm going to leave his body as is for the time being. What we are going to do is change colour from turquoise to our ocean blue, okay, to do 2 rounds of single crochet of his trousers. So I will meet you back. We're going to start from here. I'm going to pop my hook on, and we're going to do 2 rounds only of single crochet. So I've got my 2 little rounds here. Push through, change your stitch marker to this. You've got a colour change. Move your stitch marker here, and let's go around, and we're going to do 2 rounds of single crochet in the ocean blue, or whatever blue you're using, and I will meet you when we've both completed that. Okay, so I've done my 2 rounds of ocean blue. Now what I want to do is when I squidge this together, going from front to the back, I want to be able to do a chain between here and here. Okay, now I'm going to just put a little marker here on this back one here and on this front one here, because that to me is where the middle is. But I'm finished here, so I kind of need to get my stitching to go around to the middle, which of course is going to make my leg lopsided. I don't need my stitch marker now, because this is going to look like I've got 3 rounds on this side, so I'm going to have to be careful and add an extra bit this side when I build up his leg. It depends. For some of you, you might not end up with it in that particular spot. I did for the Hello Kitty, I did for this. Other times, I end up, you know, one away from the middle. I'm not sure if it's just the way I've positioned the head or what. So work your way, doing single crochets till you get to the center, the back center, okay? And you're going to then, using that stitch, go through and do a slip stitch. You're going to chain another. So you've got your slip stitch, a chain 1, a chain 2, and a chain 3. Like so. Pinch them down so you're holding it nicely. You're going to go through the loop that you have your little marker band here. Okay, and take one side and pull it through and hold. Now what we want to make sure is that we've got about 8 stitches on each leg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 we do. So let's close that one up like this. This is the one that is higher. All right, so go through your first stitch here with a single crochet and put your stitch marker on. And we're going to go around doing single crochet. This is number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now pulling this apart, you're going through this stitch here. 8. 8, come back. 8. Now we have these 3 up the middle. So go through the 2 side loops here. This is 9. This one will be 10. This one will be 11. So look what we have here. Going through here for 12. Okay. So we've gone round once. We need to go round again. Usually I do 3 rounds for the legs and 1 for the shoe. So again, move your stitch marker. That's your first stitch. So go around again. This is round number 2 for his leg. Now I'm going to stop here. I've just done 2 for this leg. Okay, 2 rounds. I'm going to pop that on. I'm going to start the other leg and I'm going to build that up by 3 to see if I can even out. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you look here, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. We've got 5 on that side. So we might have to do another round on this. We'll see how it looks. So you want to go from the back side because you want the skinniest part. If you look at the stitch, you've got sort of a teardrop shape. Okay, teardrop shape, and the skinniest part is here. You always want to start at that little skinny part. So we're going to do a slip stitch. If I can, there we go. So slip stitch, let me see. I might be able to do a slip stitch one closer. Let me see. Yes, there we go. Look, if you pull it apart, there's that middle chain. So we'll do the slip stitch in there. And then that will be number 1. Let's put our stitch marker on it. Here we go. Around we go. Pull it apart so you can see where to do your next stitch, right in here. Because otherwise you will get big gaps, and you want to make sure you don't get big gaps. That looks nasty. How many stitches have I done? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is going to be 12. And here is number 1 over here. Now I can tell right away that I'm probably going to have a gap here that's not going to look particularly nice. Okay, so I'm going to add a stitch in here. Like that. And then I'm going to skip my slip stitch, go into my first stitch. There we are. And you want to just basically look at yours and see, am I going to get a big hole in the crotch area? If so, you want to do, even if you do an extra little stitch, it's better to have an extra little stitch than having a gaping great big hole. That's 11. This will be 12. Now if I want to stop that extra stitch, I'll just join an extra one together and do a little decrease here at the crotch area, like so, and you won't get that big hole, but you will finish up on the same amount of stitches. Now let's have a look. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we need to have an extra row, extra round in each leg. So let's do that. Okay, that's going to be fine. Move my stitch marker onto that stitch. I'm going to do an extra round on my other leg, on this leg here. Find my little loop. I do usually do 3 on each leg. I think it looks better. So around we go. Move my stitch marker. And then after this round we do a round of grey for his shoes. Some of you will know how to do these tiny tots better than I do soon. Please remember, you can change the colours of his clothing so that it looks like he's wearing armour. It's completely up to you. If you want to do him in yellow clothing so he looks like he's wearing yellow armour, go for it. Absolutely, do it. Right, I still think we've got one leg longer than this leg. Looks a bit longer than the other. It certainly does. I'm going to backtrack on this one, I think. I don't like it. Because we did half of it longer, I think it almost means we need to go back half to make up for the half leg we did. So if I go back to here, that's even. So that's what I'm going to do. It's a bit fly by the seat of my pants, but there we are. Okay, yours might not have that problem. You might have done your face finished your face at a different spot or what have you. You might not have that problem, but if you do, make it so that it's right for you. Just go back a couple so that it's even, and that's absolutely fine. Now we're going to do a round of grey. Slip stitch because you've changed colour. You don't really need a stitch marker because you know exactly where you've started because of the colour change, but I still like to do it. Especially because we're going to be doing stuffing next. Okay, I'm using my stitch marker to hold my first stitch and my last stitch, and then I'm going to do the other side the same. Slip stitch because you've got the colour change. Move your stitch marker, and around we go in grey. I will link to the other Minecraft figures that I've done if you want the other style that I did, which are not the tiny tot version. I will put a link. You'll see that up on the top right with the little eye, and also I'll put it in the description as well. And in those ones I actually have a creeper and an Enderman as well. So here's my last stitch. I'm going to again open my stitch marker and keep it on my first and last stitch. And now we get the fun part of stuffing. Okay, so we're going to stuff his little body. A little bit at a time. Make sure you open up the leg area. This is a different, I got this stuffing from Hobby Lobby, and even though it's polyfill, it's not the same as the stuff I get from Michael's, and it's not as nice. It seems to be a bit looser, and I'm not quite sure I like it very much. But there you go. Stuffing is stuffing, isn't it? Can't be too picky. Let's stuff his other leg. So there he is, that's him stuffed. Now we have to close off his little legs, don't we? So what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to work in the front loop, okay? So pushing your stuffing down, you want to go through and poke out that last loop. Now because we've got a colour change, we've got a bit of a knobbly area here, but don't worry about that. Poke through and do a single crochet. I'm sorry, I tapped the camera. So through the front loop, poke it through like so. If you need help on how to work on the front loop, check out my tips and tricks for Loomigurumi. I have a playlist which includes all the different stitches that I've worked out how to do, but also little things like working in the front post, working in the back post, and I go through slowly and clearly and very close up so you get a good idea of how to do this stitch. Oops, come back here. No, I don't want the stitch marker in between. Thank you very much. Stitch marker just wants to get in on the action. So after we've worked in the front post, this changes the angle of the shoe so that it goes to, towards the center of the foot now, instead of just growing the leg longer and longer. And then we will be able to do some decreases and seal off this little foot. So now I can get rid of that stitch marker and go through 2 stitches at a time, and I am going through both loops on each stitch. Okay, so I've gone through 2 loops there, 2 loops here. It's more secure, I feel. And we do our decreases. Now you're going to just do decreases until you can seal off with a tie-off band, okay? And that gap gets smaller and smaller. And when it gets to a point that you feel comfortable, that stuffing is not going to show through or come out, grab your next stitch and tie off. Now make it nice and tight. I like to stretch it out a bit so that the foot looks shaped, and then I go from the back up to the center of the foot, push my hook through, grab that band, that tie-off band, and pull it back inside. Come on you, oh, one little bit extra. There we go. Pull it back inside, and that is how I seal the foot. So let's do the other one as well, so he's not hopping around. Get that knobbly bit. There we are. It's got 4 loops in it because you've done the colour change, but that's okay. Move your stitch marker, around we go. Alright, so I'm back to the beginning. I'm going to get rid of my stitch marker, and I'm just going to do decreases until I can tie off. It's usually about 6. Oh, I'm busy dropping stitches everywhere. There we go. Tie off, pull tight, stretch this out and go from the back up to the center, and this just pulls it in. There we go. Now the only thing we have left to do is his little smile. Smile. I keep saying it's a smile. I'm pretty sure it's a goatee. So what we're going to do, we're going to work from here and here down and then join them in the middle. Okay, I'm going to try not to hit the camera as I do that. Just because you have a hole here and you might want the mouth to go here doesn't mean you have to go there. You can push through the band here if you want to. Okay, so don't feel that just because there's not a hole there you can't make a hole there. So you're going to put one band through, and I'm going to go down a little bit more, maybe till halfway through there. And unfortunately doing the goatee is very much a trial and error thing. So with the second band, pull it through and link your first one on. Then you've got your second band like this. What I tend to do is loop it over like so, because that allows me to change the angle that I'm going. I can then come across this way. So I'm going to come in here, and this is my second band. I've gone through that loop, and I'm going to go into the next bit, and I want it to marry up, so I want it to be about here, So I'm going to go here. Alright, now I'm just going to go one over the other here for the minute, because what I want to do, I'll put a little stitch marker on it so it doesn't untangle. What I want to do is now come down from this way, okay? So again, work out, I was in between the white and the blue. I want to come down here. And one more until I get to that spot here. Pull it through. This is the one that I did the one over the other. I'm going to add that little loop that I have here to it, like so. Okay, and then I need to tie this off inside. So I'm going to go inside my little head here and pull it back in. And I need to, some way, I need to be able to tie that in securely. Okay, so what I might do, so taking both ends on your hook, you're going to use a skin tone band. And I'm using skin tone because I'm hiding it inside. Use a skin tone band, tie it off tightly, and then you need to pull this around the inside, so go through the loop where you want it to poke out, pull this in like so, and then you hide this little loop at the back like that. Okay, and that is how I did his little beard. I called it a beard this time. So there we go, there's my little Minecraft Steve Tiny Tot version. I hope you like him. I think he's rather cute. I do have plans on doing a creeper and an enderman and a zombie and whatnot. So there we go, this is the first one. Enjoy. Take care. Bye.